Hide your kids, hide your wife, because everyone getting arrested up in here. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to my channel. Yesterday on Instagram, I posted this headline, although other people posted it and the article as well. I'm not special. But a lot of people responded to it with their opinions towards how England is dealing with freedom of speech, which isn't good. And it seems no one is surprised. The sad thing is, this isn't even the first story like this that I've seen. This is not a new phenomenon. Mother, 38, is arrested in front of her children and locked in a cell for 7 hours after calling a transgender woman a man on Twitter. I like how the journalist has included her kids in this story as if that's somehow like some integral part of the plot. I'm just kind of over here wondering as well if the English police would protect me from mean people on Twitter who call me a Nazi. Because I don't identify as one. England, protect my fragile feelings. 3 officers detained Kate Scotto at her home before quizzing her at a police station about an argument with an activist on Twitter over so-called dead naming. The 38-year-old from Hitchin, Hertfordshire, had her photograph, DNA, and fingerprints taken and remains under investigation. What? The woman in question says that she was detained for up to 7 hours in a cell with no sanitary products which she needed, before being interviewed, then later released under investigation. She was arrested for harassment and malicious communications because she called someone out and misgendered them on Twitter. Malicious communications. Now, like I said, this is not a new phenomenon at all. In fact, here are some examples from last year that are pretty notable, and also some from just this last month. Graham Linehan given police warning after complaint by transgender activist. West Yorkshire Force tell Father Ted co-writer not to contact Stephanie Hayden after Roe on Twitter. Fun fact, both these people were reported by the same transgender activist. I feel like maybe these people actually need jobs and maybe to pay taxes, and I don't really, do they contribute to society in any meaningful way? What's going on here? Let's continue to some fun examples from last year. A teenager who posted rap lyrics which included racist language on Instagram has been found guilty of sending a grossly offensive message. Chelsea Russell, 19 from Liverpool, posted a lyric from Snapdog. Is that meant to be Snoop Dogg? I'm not, okay. Snapdog's I'm Trippin' to pay tribute to a boy who died in a car crash, a court heard. She was convicted for sending a grossly offensive message. Let's be clear about one thing, everyone. If these laws come to Australia, which they probably will, I am doomed. Although I hate rap and would never post lyrics of it, so maybe I'll be okay. In the same month of last year, I'm sure some of you will remember that a guy called Count Dankula was found guilty of a hate crime because he taught his girlfriend's pug to do a Nazi salute and then posted the video on YouTube. Real dangerous stuff, guys. Let's look at some examples from the last month. Man investigated by police for retweeting transgender limerick. A docker from Hubbardside has been investigated by police over a limerick he posted on Twitter after an officer claimed it constitutes a hate incident against transgender people. Citing 30 potentially offensive tweets, a community cohesion officer singled out a limerick Mr. Miller had retweeted which questioned whether transgender women are biological women. It included the lines, "Your breasts are made of silicon and your vagina goes nowhere." Even though no crime was committed, sharing the limerick online was recorded as a hate incident. Here's a concept. Do you guys remember when hate crimes and hate incidences were actually things that involved crime? You know, like physical, tangible, actual events where people go out and do harmful things. I mean, realistically, I can see how to some this is offensive and distasteful, but is it really enough to call police over? Probably not. I mean, I guess the other thing you gotta question is if this is just a general waste of, taxpayer money and police time and resources. It is. The last situation I want to tell you guys about involves an older woman who blogs and tweets a lot. And she came under fire and got a nice call from a police officer because she tweeted some things again about the transgender community. I'm noticing a trend here.
Gender's fashionable nonsense, and trans women are not women no matter how many times you say so, as some of the things she's put online, understandably causing offence in some quarters. But she wasn't expecting a call from the police.
She suggested that I might sort of desist. I said, no, I'm going to carry on speaking my mind, or writing my mind, as it were, and we left it at that. But I think it's unfortunate that they are being asked, because they've had training along these lines, to police free speech.
So there are a few things that jump out at me in relation to this issue, and obviously one of them is that England is basically impeding and hurting freedom of speech. But part of this too, for me, comes down to the fact that there are legitimate people in this society who think it is perfectly acceptable and okay to stop someone else's free speech because they don't like what's being said. And really, that is basically the attitude of these people who are reporting others for mean things they said on Twitter.
B, if I could ask you, the police have admitted that perhaps they misjudged the situation and they shouldn't have got involved. After all, nothing illegal had actually taken place. But as Margaret said, isn't everyone just entitled to an opinion?
Absolutely, everybody's entitled to an opinion. What happens is when you're in a position where you're writing, blogging or broadcasting to the public, there's a duty of care to be careful in the things that you say and not to be inflammatory.
It's just so odd to me to suggest that there's a duty of care in self-censoring what you have to say or what you think publicly because in some way, shape, or form you might offend or hurt someone else's feelings. Let's get one thing clear. Anybody who uses Twitter knows that it's basically just like an adult playpen where you can be super mean to other people and there's really no consequences. Except that now you get banned, and apparently in England you get arrested. So I guess there are kind of consequences. I stand by that it's still an adult playpen. Everything can be offensive to the right person under the right circumstances. And every time we bring in legislation like this, or we expand the definition of what constitutes a hate crime, all we do is open the door to more subjectivity and also more and more unnecessary arrests. These people genuinely believe that impeding free speech is not just good, but is also necessary in order to protect particular groups of people. It's just mental to me. And the other thing too that no one ever seems to really mention is that being offended or taking offense is entirely subjective. People on Twitter actually hurt my feelings all the time. I feel like I need a safe space and a cry closet, and I really hope someone brings me something tasty so that I might feel better. I'm fragile and whiny and very vocal about it. Cater to me. Now, let's look at the specific piece of legislation that has brought us this train wreck. Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003 says that it is a criminal offense if a person sends by means of a public electronic communications network a message or other matter that is grossly offensive or of an indecent, obscene, or menacing character, or they cause annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety to another if they send a nasty message on a social media platform. This is insane, just by the way. And like I said before, it's entirely subjective. But the issue here is that these are not just a couple examples of isolated incidents. Apparently this is happening more and more. In 2016, according to the Times of London, UK police arrested an average of 9 people a day for posting content online that someone somewhere considered offensive. In all, over 3,300 Brits were detained and questioned in 2016, a 50% increase from 2 years before. And the numbers have likely gone up since then because the government, according to the paper, announced a national police hub to crack down on hateful material online. Again, just a concept. Can't help but wonder if this is just a total waste of police resources. You guys are gonna love this. In September, the South Yorkshire Police Force Twitter account tweeted this. In addition to reporting hate crime, please report non-crime hate incidents, which can include things like offensive or insulting comments online, in person, or in writing. Hate will not be tolerated in South Yorkshire. Report it and put a stop to it. Call me crazy, but I'm thinking that asking citizens to report each other probably won't create a very cohesive, happy society. But what would I know? I've never been a dictator. Besides the fact that this is obviously a huge infringement of freedom of speech and civil liberties, it's also pretty clear that the government and police forces in the UK have their priorities all wrong. While they're over here asking you to report people for saying nasty things on the internet, they're also forgetting that between 2017 to 2018, knife crime in the UK went up by 16%. And between 2016 to 2017, murders went up by 25%. Your feelings, my friend, are the first and foremost concern of the police force. Don't even worry about that stab wound you have. So besides the skyrocketing crime rate in the United Kingdom, people have also pointed out that there's very little consistency to the way that the police actually enforce this law. An article by Breitbart gave the example that the Metropolitan Police were very hesitant to investigate people such as Nadia Chan, a self-described Islamist who was revealed as having made a number of deeply racist remarks about white people on social media after an appearance on public broadcaster Channel 4. Literally thousands of people urged the Met Contact Center on Twitter to investigate Chan, but the force did not appear to offer any public response, and individuals who contacted the account privately claimed they were told the force would not accept any reports unless the complainants came to the police station in person. This exact same thing happened in relation to a transgender model as well, named Monroe Bergdorf, who made some pretty nasty comments about white people on the internet as well. But same thing, the police were not interested in investigating. I would actually love to know what sort of things are being said and what kind of people are being arrested for the comments that they're making online that are apparently hurtful. Something tells me it won't be the people saying mean things about white people or men. Because you know, both those topics are fair game. So I guess the conclusion here is that yes, these laws definitely impede free speech and they definitely infringe civil liberties. And it is my opinion that once you start traversing down a road like this, it really signals the end of a cohesive society. In the end, I am a huge believer that the success, freedom, and prosperity of a society is predicated on freedom of speech, among other things. And at the end of the day, even though you might not like the things that other people say, their delivery, the way that they word it, and so on and so forth, they still have the right to say it. And as far as I'm concerned, and it upsets me to say it, I think that England is going down a very, very dangerous road. And Australia will probably be soon to follow because we love adopting these kind of laws. England, you know, I see you as like a cousin and I want to be here for you, but you're being an idiot. I guess my question here is, at what point do you think it's acceptable to impede someone else's free speech in order to protect someone else's feelings? As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so, just don't be rude about it. And I will see you guys next time.